Welcome to the HIV and HCV dried blood spot confirmatory testing training. I'm Christy Carey, the HIV testing coordinator in the Division of HIV, STD, and HCV prevention within the AIDS Institute. Please take note this training is for educational and presentation purposes only. There are no participants during this training as this is a recording. Let's go ahead and get started. Here's our agenda for today. We'll be going over DBS specimen collection and processing, packaging, shipping, and the ROE tutorial of the Infectious Diseases Requisition form, known as the DOH 4463. And lastly, we'll be going over communicable disease reporting, a tutorial of the DOH 4189, which is the provider reporting form via ePRF, and receiving test results. So our first is specimen collection and processing. So when do you run a DBS test? DBS tests are run after receiving a rapid reactive test result. Fingerstick and DBS collection supplies. So these are all the supplies that you'll need. Feel free to take a moment to review these for your fingersticks and setting up your testing environment, as well as for DBS collection and shipping supplies. Setting up your testing area. When you set up your testing area, it should look something like this. Now, it is up to you whether you choose to keep your DBS card, which as you can see is located at the bottom right, out, or a lot of folks choose to keep their DBS card in a locked drawer or bag right next to them and don't actually take the card out unless they receive a reactive rapid result for HIV or HCV. Feel free to go with what your agency structure is on how to set up and when you should put out the DBS card. Okay, so a lot of this will already be done because since our folks here are only performing a DBS after receiving that rapid reactive, that preliminary positive, right, result, almost all of your testing supplies will already be set out. So make sure to clean the surrounding area with surface disinfectant. While the surface area is air drying, put on your gloves, put your spill pad down, place all your testing supplies down, and ask the client to wash their hands thoroughly or provide them with hand sanitizer. Describe to the client how the blood will be collected for the DBS. Explain the fingerstick process and including the potential for more than one fingerstick. Label your DBS card as seen in the picture. In the name line, you want to put the first and the last name, and then on that same line, as you can see in the picture, in parentheses, you want to put the date of birth. And then under the date, you want to put the collection date. The collection date is the date that you took the sample, that you took the blood from the client. Criminal Justice Initiative funded providers, please take note that as you offer anonymous confirmatory testing in the correctional facilities, on the name line, you will place a non-identifying client ID that your agency comes up with, and then on the collection date on the date line of the DBS card. Okay, so next we're going to choose a finger. Ask the client to start rubbing their hands together to warm and stimulate blood flow. Try to avoid the thumb and the pinky fingers. The best options are your middle or your ring finger. Try not to use the tip or the center of the fingertip, and aim to press the lancet into the side of the fingertip at an angle. If at all possible, try to avoid fingers that may have some bruises, swelling, or scars. So once you've selected a finger, thoroughly clean the finger with a 70% isopropyl alcohol wipe. Make sure to either wipe that finger dry with sterile gauze, or you can allow the finger to dry completely before proceeding with the fingerstick. Collection steps. You may need to request assistance with positioning the hand or asking the client to stand up to increase blood flow. Once you're ready, take the top off of the high flow lancet, which is your little fingerstick device. Press the lancet firmly against the skin, but do not remove the lancet from the finger until you hear the click. Right after you hear the click, immediately dispose of the lancet in your sharps container. Wipe away that very first drop of blood with sterile gauze and throw that in your biohazard waste bag, which is different from your sharps container. Sharps go into your sharps container. All biohazard goes into that red biohazard bag that goes on that stand. Ensure that you gently move the client's hand over the DBS test card circles. And with the finger extended, you can gently milk the hand at the wrist and work down to the base of the finger, but try not to squeeze the finger too tightly as this could limit blood flow. Next, it comes the tough part. You want to make sure to be patient and allow a large drop of free-flowing, free-forming blood to accumulate. Allow the drop to carefully fall within the circle on its own. The client's finger should never touch the filter paper on the test card. The filter paper is the paper that has the 4 to 5 dots on it. Do not layer the drops of blood on top of each other, even if the blood spot doesn't completely fill the circle. If the client's blood does clot and you aren't able to get the 4 to 5 drops before completing, just request consent to try another finger. Each DBS card contains either 4 or 5 circles. Filling the 4 circles is preferred. The minimum for testing for HIV or HCV is 2 full circles. But filling 4 circles allows for enough specimen to retest if necessary. If you're conducting both HIV and HCV confirmatory testing, all the circles must be filled out. Here are some examples of invalid specimens and why they may be rejected from the lab. Feel free to take a moment to look these over. Let's talk about DBS drying. When you're drying the DBS card, slightly bend the card away from the cover. You can place it on a flat surface to dry, or you may use your drying transport box. If using your transport box, place one DBS card in the transport box lined with glassine paper at the bottom. Only one DBS card per box. Ensure the blood spots are slightly angled so they don't lay flat against the bottom or top of the box. You may add up to 4 desiccant or silica gel packs in each transport box to keep the humidity level down. Cover the box, ensuring the air holes face upwards, and remember there must be at least 4 holes in the lid of each drying box. Make sure to not use an external heat source such as a fan or hairdryer to dry the DBS card. It must dry naturally on its own. Wet blood spots should not contact any surface, and when the spots dry, they'll appear dark brown. Please take note it's recommended to dry all specimens for at least 4 hours, though preferably overnight prior to mailing. Ensure your drying space is confidential to protect client confidentiality. Just a note for our Criminal Justice Initiative CJI-funded providers. All HIV DBS tests conducted by staff of CJI-funded providers are anonymous, as we mentioned before. Here are some of the needed forms and requirements for CJI-funded providers. Your DBS inventory report form, the DOH 4189, docs testing supply clearance, entering docs with a lancet. You will be conducting testing in docs medical only, and making sure that your agency updates their policies and procedures reflecting the DBS process and staff training. This is an example of the CJI DBS inventory report form. Please feel free to contact your OCJS contract manager for guidance and information on form completion and submission. Next, we'll move on to DBS packing, shipping, and the remote order entry of the DOH 4463. Packaging your DBS card. Ensure your blood straws are completely dry to prevent smearing and contamination. Fold over the cover at the crease so it lays over the filter paper and tuck it into the flap. Ensure to verify the information on the DBS card is accurate and matches your requisition form exactly. We'll go over the requisition form in detail a little later. Packaging your DBS card. You may place up to 8 DBS cards, each separated by glassine paper, as in the photo, into a gas impermeable plastic bag. You may add your desiccant or silica gel packs to the plastic bag to remove any residual moisture and keep the humidity level down. Press as much air out of the bag as possible and seal it up. Please store sealed bags at room temperature away from direct sunlight. Mail as soon as possible. Cards must be processed within 15 days from collection. 15 days includes the time the DBS cards will be in transit during shipping. Your sealed gas impermeable plastic bags with your DBS and other supplies may be shipped in a plain external mailing envelope or box. Each DBS card must have the corresponding and completed DOH 4463 infectious disease requisition form, remote order entry shipping manifest printout included in the mailing envelope, which we will go over in detail. The external envelope does not require special handling or labeling or box, and your specimens may be mailed via the U.S. Postal Service or shipped using your agency's preferred shipping vendor. Please take note that USPS has recently been receiving delays, and the lab has been receiving some specimens later than 15 days. You may want to utilize another form of mailing, or choose priority mail to ensure it arrives within less than 15 days. Here's the correct mailing and shipping address. Please use this correct mailing and shipping address specifically when sending all DBS specimens to Wadsworth Lab. Please ensure to place the contact person, agency name, and agency address in the top left-hand corner of your envelope or box. Next, we move on to discussing the remote order entry tutorial of the DOH 4463 Infectious Diseases Requisition Form. This form is required to go with each DBS test that is received. It basically matches up the test to all of the patient information. Wadsworth Lab's preferred way for all DOH 4463 forms to be submitted is now remote order entry on the Health Commerce system through the CLIMS application. If your agency's computer systems are down, you may still submit the paper version of the DOH 4463. This form was updated in January 2022, and the link to the form with instructions can be found here. Please feel free to click on the link. The remote order entry user guide may be found at this link. Also, feel free to click the last link on the slide if you'd like to locate quick start training guides under the training resource section of the page. A lot of them are very helpful. Here's some quick steps on how you will set up an HCS account. Most of you folks already have one or have an agency coordinator, as that is the way that you currently receive your test results. Here's the link to set up an HCS account. You would obtain access to the application titled CLIMS, and your agency's health provider network or HPN coordinator will be able to provide you with both HCS and CLIMS access. If you already have an existing HCS account for ordering testing materials or other purposes, you can use your existing HCS user ID. If you have any questions regarding CLIMS, you can email directly to outreachsupport@health.newyork.gov. Please take note that not all testers may have access to HCS or be providing the remote order entry form. Refer to your agency structure on who the best person to complete these tasks would be. Okay, so to begin, you'll log into HCS, and the first thing you'll do is click on the CLIMS application, which is on the left-hand side of the screen. Next, you'll click on Remote Order. Then, at the top left-hand screen, click Place Order DOH 4463. Click Submit Human Specimen. Then select your facility from the drop-down menu and click Add a Patient over here. All other fields on this page are not required. Next, it'll bring you to your patient demographics page. Please fill out all the required fields on this page. For the submitter patient ID, please use your client's TC ID. Make sure to fill in the last name, first name, sex, and patient birth date. Fill in the address, city, county of residence, state, and zip code. Full addresses are preferable, but if the client does not have one, only the county of residence and state are required for submission. Race and ethnicity are not required, but highly advised to complete this form. Always make sure to ask the client if they're pregnant. If they are pregnant, make sure to check the box and state the trimester they are currently in. Under the relevant treatment section, it is required if a client is on PrEP or antiretroviral therapy that you state this and the type of medication that the client is on in this relevant treatment section. Please take note the name and date of birth listed on the DBS test card must match exactly to the information entered here. Then you'll click Add a Test. Please take note on the next slide, CGI providers, when completing the patient information section of the ePRF, CGI providers should place the collection date and a non-identifying client ID in this section. Any other information is not required as it's anonymous testing. Please ensure your collection date and the client ID in this ePRF matches exactly to the collection date and client ID listed on the DBS test card. You will be able to proceed forward with only placing the client ID and the collection date in. It will not stop you from moving forward. Please take note that CGI providers are currently the only ones offering anonymous DBS testing. The rest of our contracted folks will not be offering anonymous DBS testing. All right, our next page, it brings us to Assign Tests. Under Assign Test, type in HIV and then select the test titled HIV Rapid Test Confirmation or Dried Blood Spot. Click on Order Tests. If you're going to be ordering both HIV and HCV or just one or the other, you can hit under Assign Test, type in HCV, and select the test titled HCV Qualitative RNA. Click on Order Tests. Make sure if you're ordering both HIV and HCV tests, select both tests before clicking on Order Tests. This will bring you to the patient information page. Under your specimen type, it will always be primary. Your specimen source will be dried blood spot, which you can select from the drop-down menu. The submitted on and in section, you may leave blank. The submitted specimen number, please input the client TCID. The collection date, as we've discussed, is the date you collected the sample or the blood from the client. The reason for submission will always be confirmation, and then click Save Changes at the bottom of the page. The shipping address, feel free to choose David Axelrod Institute, Wadsworth Center from the drop-down, and then click Continue to Review. You may expand the client information by clicking on the specimen ID number or any section of the client information. It will expand. Please scroll down and review all of the client information to ensure it is correct and there are no errors. Then, once you've reviewed all the client information is correct, click Submit. This will bring you to your shipping manifest. This is exactly the page you want to be at to be wrapping up this process. Click Print Order in the top right-hand corner. This is your shipping manifest in print form. You will place this form after printing out inside the shipping envelope. Reminder, you will need to include this form for each client and each DBS. So if you have 4 DBSs, you will need 4 separate forms. And that sums up our tutorial of the 4463 infectious disease requisition form via remote order entry. Please remember, this is Wadsworth's preferred way and how all DBS DOH 4463 forms should be submitted on a go forward. Please take note. Any questions for Wadsworth staff, you may contact them at their emails and phone numbers below. Next up, at our last topic, communicable disease reporting, ePRF tutorial of the DOH 4189 provider reporting form, and receiving test results electronically. The communicable disease reporting, the electronic clinical laboratory report system, or eCLARS as we call it. Wadsworth will submit all reportable HIV and HCV laboratory results to the eCLARS system per New York State public health law. Reactive HIV confirmatory and reactive HCV confirmatory, RNA only, test result reports will be made by Wadsworth to the local health department in the county in which the patient resides in and will be submitted within 24 hours of diagnosis. HIV test results are reported statewide, while HCV test results are reported countywide in the county that the patient resides in, Please take note, once receiving an HIV reactive positive confirmatory DBS result, providers are required to submit the DOH 4189 providing reporting form to New York State no more than 14 days after receiving the result. Best practices is to complete this as soon as possible. We're going to go over in detail how to complete this form online. For confirmed RNA reactive HCV results, the local health department will reach out and partner with providers on completing the DOH 389 confidential case report form. Please feel free to take a moment, look, and click on any of the links below to find a sample of the form and instructions on how to complete the DOH 389. Here's some helpful links. Next, we move on to the tutorial for the DOH 4189 provider reporting form via ePRF. This form, as we just discussed, is completed when receiving a reactive HIV DBS confirmatory result. This is how you'll begin to access this form. You'll log into your HCS account. Under My Application, select the HIV and AIDS provider portal. If you do not have access to that portal, make sure to request access to it. On the provider homepage, you're going to select ePRF data entry. This will take you to the electronic version of this reporting form. Required fields are marked with a red asterisk and red text. Fill out the form in the 4 data entry sections listed below and then click Submit. Next, we're going to go over specific screenshots to show you how it's done. Click on ePRF data entry in the left-hand side to begin. In the Select Address window, Choose your agency address and then the document source for submission. Your agency address should populate and already be here if you have a testing program. Document source refers to the type of visit that occurred with the client. When you are finished, click the data entry button. Next, patient information. Please complete as many of these sections as possible. Those in red text and a red asterisk are required. The information is used for data validation, partner service requests, and out-of-care requests. For number 6, which is risk, please don't leave this section blank. If you do not know any risk behavior, please select UNK for unknown. For type of report, which is number 7, if this is a new diagnosis, the exact date of diagnosis is required for newly diagnosed individuals. At minimum, please provide the year of diagnosis for previously diagnosed individuals. HIV testing history information. This section is required when submitting the form for an initial or new HIV diagnosis. If antiretroviral therapy is used, document, please specify if it's used for PrEP, PEP, or for HIV treatment, and please include any specific medications taken if available. Partner contact information. This section is required for known sexual or needle sharing partners. Last name is required field if any partner or contact information is being reported. If there are multiple partners, add each partner's information using the Save Partner button in the bottom left of this section. Provider information. Your name, the provider's name, and license information will auto-populate. Facility information will also auto-populate based on the selection you chose in the data entry window. Please review and add the contact information of yourself or your agency before submitting. Please follow your agency's protocols for filling out this section. Then click Submit. That sums up completing the electronic version of the DOH 4189 provider reporting form. Please reach out to the Bureau of HIV and AIDS Epidemiology at the phone number and email below with any questions or concerns. Receiving electronic test results via HCS or the Health Commerce System. The Wadsworth Center is now solely providing test results via the CLIMS application in HCS. The CLIMS application was where we completed that DOH 4463 infectious diseases requisition form. Any questions regarding CLIMS again, please email directly to outreachsupport@health.newyork.gov. Online, you can track your specimens, receive email notifications when your results are available, and view test results. It's quite handy. Here's some information on how to access the HCS. We won't go over this in detail. This is just for reference. Once you log into your account and you access CLIMS and the HIV/HCV reports has been established, you can either select specimen reports or specimen receipts. Reports will be available on HCS for 90 days for all your test results. To set up email notifications when test results come in, click on My Preferences and enable email notification. That sums it up. Thank you for joining us, and please reach out to me at christy.carey@health.newyork.gov for any questions or concerns. Have a wonderful day.